thank you for joining me on this Tuesday morning. I trust that you were with me yesterday, and you know that this week we're studying the subject of prayer. Now, yesterday on Monday, we discussed prayer in the form of praise, and we know what praise does. Praise causes the enemies of God and your enemies as a Christian to scatter. But today, we're looking at another scripture when it comes to prayer, and we want to talk about prayer in the form of worship. Prayer in the form of worship. Now, in our scripture today, we're looking for Mark chapter 5. And we look at this scripture and starting in verse 6. It has to do with a gentleman who is possessed by devils. And Jesus comes on the scene and he's crying out for help. And let's pick up there in verse 6. And when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him and cried with a loud voice and said, "What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not." Now that's interesting what would be said to Jesus. When the young man comes and he begins to worship God, something begins to happen. And what's happening here? The Bible points out that as he begins to worship God, that the enemies of God, the demonic forces, are tormented. Yesterday, we said that we put them to flight. Today, when we worship God, we realize that worship causes the enemies of God to be tormented. And that particular word torment means to cry for help beneath the accusation of wrongdoing. You see, the enemies of God know that they're doing wrong, but when we begin to worship God, you see, they take no pleasure in that. They're tormented because of that. And I want you to know today that the devil is tormented today. As this day goes on, he is tormented. Why? Because you've learned to worship God. Just lift your hands right where you're at and begin to worship God. And as you worship him, know that the devil, the demons, and all of the enemies of God are being tormented right now. They have no peace. They have no happiness. They have no joy. But you, my friend, are going to be filled with the joy of the Lord. You're going to be filled with the goodness of God. You're not going to be tormented. What the devil means for you is going to turn around and be against him. You're the one that is blessed. The devil is tormented today. I want you to have a great day. I want Tuesday to be a wonderful day for you. Why don't you just go out, start praising and worshiping God. As you worship him, the devil is tormented, and that's who you want tormented. You don't want to be tormented. You want the devil tormented. I tell you, what a great thought. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday for another thought from the throne.